Hey everyone, Token Dave over here, the dorky token black guy that's just trying to get by. And welcome to another edition of First Attack. Here, I give my thoughts and opinions on the pilot or first episode of a TV series. Keep in mind that the views that I'm expressing are not a reflection on the series as a whole. They are solely based on the pilot or first episode of said TV show. I have to admit, as a kid, I loved Captain N the Game Master. In fact, it was Captain N the Game Master that got me interested into playing video games like Metroid, Mega Man, and Castlevania, which is the subject of this First Attack, Netflix's Castlevania TV series. Alright? So what's the plot? Well, the plot of the TV series is that in 1455, a young woman named Lisa ventures into an area where she is trying to become a doctor, and she hears a rumor that one person, is very knowledgeable within the sciences. This person turns out to be Vlad the Impaler, aka Dracula, and she actually is trying to convince seeing that Dracula has, shunned himself or locked himself in his castle and everything, she tries to convince him to basically go out, see the world a little bit more, and don't be so locked off from the human race. Instead, try to learn to being among them and at least just try to tolerate them. And he is impressed by her, so he allows her to stay in the castle. 20 years later, we find that, Lisa has been burnt to the stake by, by bishops and the priests because, they've seen a lot of things in her room, in her home, and they all considered it witchcraft. And as she is dying, she yells out to have mercy on them. They do not understand. They don't know what to do. Something similar to what Jesus yelled out to God and everything. When this happens, we find that Dracula was just walking around and everything, saying, traveling the world as a peasant based on Lisa's suggestion, whom we find out he ended up marrying, and that finds that her place is destroyed, and he learns from a person nearby that they took her and they burnt her. And he is so pissed that he swears, basically, he will come back with a vengeance, and to kill off not everyone in that, only everyone in that town, but eventually everybody in the whole world, the human race. But he gives the people not in the immediate vicinity 1 year to leave. And a year later, they don't listen, and he brings down a small taste of the wrath that immediately has demons coming out, wiping out everybody in the town, in the immediate vicinity of the town, especially the Archbishop. Guys, well, first, before I go into it, let me just disclose one thing. Now, even though I'm a fan of the Castlevania games, the very last one I played was, I think, 14 years ago, which was Land of Innocence, which is actually supposed to be a prequel to the Castlevania games, which is actually supposed to be the start of them, which I'll get into in a few moments. This pilot, basically from everything here, it appears that this one is actually following the plot to Castlevania 3, Dracula's Curse. And by the time frame and by the motivations of Dracula and how everything's happening, we learn that basically the church is losing faith and face among the people, with Dracula rampaging through the area, and they can't find anyone else to take on and defeat Dracula. So they finally find someone named Trevor Belmont, who is a descendant of the Belmont clan, who are shamed and shunned for reasons that I personally don't know. Because, I do not know of, well, first off, canonically, even though this plot is more like Castlevania 3's plot. Castlevania 3 actually takes place like years before, like 200 years before the original Castlevania game. And before Castlevania 3, Land of Innocence is supposed to have chronicalized the beginning feud between the Belmont clan and Dracula. And between Land of Innocence and Dracula and Castlevania 3, Dracula's Curse, that's 400 years in between. So whatever happened to the Belmont clan, I do not know. But what I do know is that Castlevania 3 was one of the most difficult games to beat, which luckily, that was the very first Castlevania game. No, the second Castlevania game that I actually beat. I've never beaten Castlevania 2, and I don't know if I'm actually going to end up trying to spend the time to beat that game. But anywho, as the pilot holds, it does a good job of telling you what the series is about, what's driving the villain, because you kind of empathize for Dracula since these people killed his wife and his wife taught him to be a little more tolerant among the human race. With that said, him swearing to destroy the human race because someone killed his wife can be a bit extreme, especially when they said that in the series, well, in the episode, they said she was the only person he ever loved. Which, yeah, if you know anything about the Castlevania mythos, that was complete bullshit, because referring back to Land of Innocence, you find that basically the reason Dracula became to be Dracula, in this timeline, by the way, is that he was basically once a knight named Matthias, whose wife Elizabeth, I'm calling her Elizabeth, it's probably pronounced a certain way because it's an old English name and everything, died from cancer, and not cancer, but died from an illness, and Matthias was enraged and swore to get revenge on God. Where now that Matthias is now Dracula and his second wife has been killed by humans, if you knew both of this, you would understand why Dracula has this extreme hatred where he just jumped from wanting revenge on some people to the human race. You would have a better understanding with that. What's awesome is the kill scenes, because even though this is an animated TV series, and I shouldn't have to say this because it's 2017, but oh man, the blood that you see from when the demons are killing the people and how they killed the Archbishop, priceless and awesome. And as well, at the very end of the episode, we see that Trevor Belmont, in a pub getting drunk. In addition, one thing that I need to point out, it looks as if in the pilot we actually see Alucard, who is basically Dracula's son, whom is actually the main protagonist of what is considered the best Castlevania game of all time, Castlevania Symphony of the Night. So, I have to watch the rest of the series to find out. But all that said, basically, thus far, this is a great start and everything. I've always wanted a Castlevania movie, but with how video game movies are, I'm kind of glad it's not. But so far, this pilot itself and everything, all I can say is, I can give this pilot a critical strike and everything. I am so excited. This pilot really, really has me wanting to watch the rest of the series. Hopefully, I don't watch it too much and binge and everything. But, guys agree, disagree, drop me a comment, give me a like, subscribe, ring that bell so you know when a new video loads. But until then, this has been Token Dave, the dorky token black guy who's just trying to get by, and I'll catch you guys later.